Hi, my name is Irlanzujuan Martin again, and today this episode is going to be on healthy relationships. So, if at any time throughout the episode you want to call in, the number is below 415-861-6648. You could definitely call in, and we're going to be talking about healthy relationships. And not only that, the reason we're talking about healthy relationships is because this month is mostly focused on relationships and intimacy. So we're just going to be talking about things of that nature. And to get into it, I'm going to start off by just first explaining the purpose of today. It's basically to learn about relationships, all the types of relationships, and the dynamics that are within relationships. Versus they're both healthy and unhealthy relationships. We're going to talk about that type of stuff. And also how to navigate through them and how to keep them healthy. So, to get more into this topic, I'm going to first off talking about what type of relationships you can have. Because when the word relationship comes to mind, a lot of people tend to think of boyfriend, girlfriend, intimate relationship, or girlfriend, girlfriend, or boyfriend, boyfriend relationship, right? But technically, those aren't the only types of relationships. You can have a relationship with your family member. You can have a relationship with a friend. You can have a professional relationship with your coworker or something like that. And each of those relationships carry different things with them. So when you have a family relationship between you and your family member, you might be more playful and joking. You might be more open with them as well because there's somebody that you've been with, known and been around your whole life or for a long period of time, if not your whole life. And plus they're family, and it's a lot easier sometimes to talk to family, but not always. Sometimes family can be difficult to talk to. So that's why you want to make sure you have the right healthy relationships with your family, making sure that you understand them and talk with them properly. Other things like friendship relationships come in different ways. You got best friends, and then you got associates. You got people who call their friends, my right bone, my left bone, my hip, my knee. Friends can be so many different things to you. For some people, the reason they be like, that's my right bone, because literally they feel like that person is a part of them, because that's their friend. That's the relationship they have with that individual. It's that deep to where it's like, wow, you're somebody that I feel like you're a limb of my body, and if you were to be torn away, it would hurt, like just like if I lost a limb. So relationships go in multiple ways. Now, for professional relationships, those are relationships usually, at work, or not even just at work. Maybe you keep a professional relationship with somebody at your church, or somebody that that you volunteer with in the community, because you want to keep them looking at you in a professional view rather than for them to be all in your personal life and look at you in a personal, perspective and stuff like that. Professional relationships are really good because it allows you to get your work done while you're at work. And not only that, it allows you to communicate and connect with the other people around you. It's important to have a professional relationship with someone at work because it makes your time at work a lot more enjoyable. Well, at least in my opinion, and from what I've experienced in the organization that I work with, making friends and finding people that I can have a tight-knit relationship with in that community, it makes being at the organization a whole lot funner, even though it's extremely fun already as the way it is. I love being at Chalk. So it's very important to make those relationships. When you make professional relationships, though, keep in mind you don't have to be very deep with that person. It could be just a relationship of where you're basically like, hey, how you doing? Oh, just checking up on you. Haven't seen you in a while at work, or stuff like that. And not only that, just making sure you're both on top of your work. Hey, have you got that report done? Or hey, did you get this assignment done that you were supposed to do? This project, did you finish that? Can I help you with that? Stuff like that, to help build connections. The reason those are important, again, is because it can make living and working in your workspace a lot easier for you and more enjoyable. Just looking for friends and searching for that individual you could talk with. And then last but not least, the one that we're all very familiar with, intimate relationships. Sorry about that. Intimate relationships are the relationships in which you're with another person that you really care for and love, and you want to be with for the rest of your life. And not always just for the rest of your life, but sometimes it's like, simple boyfriend and girlfriend relationships. Those also count as intimate relationships because that is someone you're having a intimate moment with. depending whether it's a long-term relationship, short-term, it's still intimate because you're spending time with that person and giving them your time and your free will to be with that person, right? So, why is communication important in a relationship? Now, we talked about all four of these different types of relationship, but we didn't talk about what is the most important thing to help keep one of them relationships healthy. I feel communication is one of the strongest points in relationships to help keep them healthy, because if you can't communicate effectively with whoever you're in a relationship with, then how do you expect for y'all to even hold the relationship? Relationships are usually based off of communication, because you have to talk with that person, or you have to communicate with them in some way. If you don't talk, you might use writing, poetry, sign language stuff, there's tons of ways to communicate, but communication is important. Now, there's a thing about communication that not everyone know about, though. It's called active listening. Active listening, some people would just think, yeah, it's just listening actively, paying attention. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, maybe so. But it could be a lot more than that. When you actively listen, you're engaged in a conversation. You're in depth with it. You really feel what the other person is talking about. You're able to understand to the fullest, what you feel about this conversation. You're able to give your opinions and your comments and talkbacks about what conversation you're in. And it's very important, active listening. But one thing that is hard with active listening is completing the active part. In order to be actively listening, you have to really give someone your full undivided attention, meaning you have to act in it. Using words of affirmation, which are like, yeah, uh-huh, oh yeah, for sure, I understand what you're saying. Stuff like that. That helps shows. Those are active listening cues that can help show that you are listening to the person, that you're giving them their undivided attention. Also, eye contact. Looking the person directly in the eye definitely strengthens that active listening, because if you're looking at something, you're more focused on that thing, and you're more focused on listening to that thing. So, if you're actively listening by focusing on who you're talking to, then you are able to specifically get the information the right way without it being misconstrued, in which that happens a lot in relationships. We'll be talking with each other, and sometimes we'll have like our phone, and we're like, oh yeah, I understand what you're saying, babe, oh yeah, and we'll look up, we'll be listening sometimes, but because we're looking down at our phones, we're not giving our full undivided attention, which means you'll miss some things here and there. And when the other person in a relationship gets aggravated or irritated with you because of that, then you're at a loss of words. You don't even know why they're irritated, and it's because you weren't paying attention. And if you were paying attention, then you would have understood that that was the issue. Stuff like that. It's very important just altogether to use different skills with active listening, like not mentally arguing. This is something that I do, and I know a lot of other people might do out there, is mentally argue. If someone is telling you something, and they're like, hey, this is my side of the story, blah, blah, blah. This is what happened. This is what I remember seeing. This is how I feel, blah, blah, blah. In the back of our minds, we're already like, okay, that's what you're saying. That's wrong. I'm going to respond to that. Oh, no, you completely wrong. For real? That's what you're thinking? And so when you're doing that the whole time, what's going on? You're listening to your own thoughts and no longer listening to the words of the other person who is talking to you. So when you're doing that mental arguing and you're talking in your head, like trying to come up with what you're going to say to respond with what the person is saying, you're not actually able to capture everything they're saying, which means you might be, responding in a way that may be tedious and repetitive. They may have said something that you're then again responding back to them because you weren't fully paying attention, because you were mentally arguing. So that's another skill that's very important when it comes to relationships. Active listening is one of the biggest parts of relationships, and not just active listening, communication. You got to be able to feel free enough to talk with your other individual who you're in a relationship with, whether it be boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is. You make sure that you're able to be open with them. You don't want to get in a relationship with somebody that you're scared of, or somebody that you feel like you can't be honest with. If you're in a relationship like that, you might want to think about that relationship and think about, okay, how can we communicate better? Stuff like that. Because communication is key. Being able to talk with each other, do poetry, being able to sing songs with each other. Communication could be the smallest thing, as to just saying, something that could turn into a big argument. Just something like a quick and easy, um, hey, I just finished cooking. Can you wash the dishes? Something like that. Instead of just assuming, I just finished cooking. I'm tired. She gonna automatically, or he gonna automatically wash the dishes. They better get to it. Making that assumption, then you see the dishes don't get washed. Now you're aggravated. Stuff like that. So it's very important to voice those situations. And we have a caller. Hello, caller. You're on with Youth Line Live.
Hi, yes, my name is Trina. I was calling because I was listening to your show today based upon healthy relationships. And I was wondering, do you have any pointers as far as building family relationships, bringing us all together closer and making your family relationships more tighter? With What are some pointers as far as how to get everybody to come together?
Hmm. Well, it depends. Each family is very different, but you got to first get to a point where everyone is able to talk about calmly what is going on with them. So, one good thing to understand when it comes to family relationships is a lot of times people don't pay attention to the word I feel like. Using I statements and saying I feel is very key when you're talking, because then no one is able to say how you feel. They can't tell you, no, you're wrong because you feel upset when somebody is doing something. Say if you say, I feel upset when you borrow my shirt without asking, that person can no longer be like, what? You feel upset because it's a feeling. It's natural for you to have that feeling. It's fine for you to have that feeling. But then that other person also has to understand that, feelings are something that everyone has. And that if you pay attention to someone's feelings first before you react, it
Yeah,
helps to make sure that the conversation runs smoothly. Stuff like that.
awesome, awesome.
Um, Not only that, there's a lot more that goes with it that could help with family relationships and family ties. But specifically, I feel like that connection of making sure both sides are able to actively listen and both sides are able to actually, express their feelings fully to the other, that can make, a very strong relationship. And
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
do you have any more questions?
Yes, I also wanted to ask you, how do you get now I'm speaking on intimacy now, intimate relationships. How do you get your partner to trust you?
No, that one is difficult. Trust only comes on their own, in its own way. If you're someone who is already putting everything out there on the table and it's like, look, this is what I'm doing. I'm showing you this is what I'm doing. You're here to see it. You're around for it, then
Right,
it's very hard for them. Sometimes though, it's kind of different because it might be a trigger of jealousy. It might be something from a past relationship that makes that person skeptical. Sometimes they have those walls built up that you
oh,
don't see, and that wall could be there. And that person is like, this relationship, this and this happened to me, and so now I'm afraid that it's happening in every relationship that I go into. Now I'm concerned and cautious as to, oh, are you doing this? Are you doing that? Okay, because the last time I was in somebody, they did this, they did that, so I'm kind of lumping you all into the same category because I've been hurt
right,
or something
right.
like that. That's
Wonderful.
one way, and there's a lot more other ways of which, a lot more other reasons of why someone might be, um, not so trusting in a relationship. And when those things come about, it's just it's kind of difficult, but it's again comes back to having that conversation, being able to talk with that person, being able to communicate, because that person has to be able to communicate that to you, that hey, this has happened to me, and that I feel this way about it, and it can make me feel better if you were to help me by doing this. Stuff like that. Actually,
Uh,
using a statement like that is very strong, saying I feel this way when I see this done, and it will help me if you can support me by doing this. That
Oh,
helps make the conversation run a lot smoother, because now the other person is like, okay, I understand what you're going through. I understand how you feel. And you're saying you can't basically, you can't move forward without my help, and so I have to help you in order for us. We have to meet halfway in order for this relationship to work, in order for us to keep going on the path that we want to go on.
Right, right, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you so very much for your useful and helpful information. I appreciate it, and you have a blessed day.
All right. Thank you. Thanks again for calling in, caller.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye. So, again, like I was saying, communication is very important inside of a relationship. And to get more into our topic and to not dwindle anymore on healthy communication, but to get more on uh, um, the 6 different types of relationship powers. So, in a relationship, there are 6 different types of powers that someone can have and that someone might use in a relationship to help show that they have, power over someone or maybe dominance over someone. And so, to talk about those 6 types of relationships powers, I'm going to go on the first one, which is a coercive power. Sorry, I think I'm saying that wrong, but it's a coercive power, and basically, what coercive power is the base on fear. It's based on fear that one person will punish the other. So it's a relationship where it's like, oh, I don't want to do nothing wrong because I'm afraid that you're gonna hurt me or you're gonna chastise me or you're gonna discipline me. I'm scared of you saying something or I'm scared of you doing something against me. That's called coercive power. There's also reward power. This is based on the belief that the other person will do something in return for an agreement. So that is also used a lot in relationships where it's like, yeah, hey, babe, come with me here, or even with friends and family. It's like, oh, hey, if you come with me to go do this, we could buy this, or we could get this, or hey, let's go to the movies. I'll pay for your movie ticket, stuff like that. Things to try and get people to come with you is based on the belief that if you buy them something, that person will be with you, and that's another type of power that some people have, and that actually can be abused because if you look at reward power in a way where you're constantly telling everyone like, well, it seems like people like to come when you say you'll pay for something or when you give them something free. Is that a real relationship? Because now in that relationship, you're using a power that you think is going to help make your relationship stronger. Please hold, and we got a caller. All right, hi caller, you're on with Youth Line Live.
Oh yeah, I just want to say something that you have a great show, and I like to watch every Tuesday, and I like it. Yeah, I just
Awesome.
want to say that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. That's
Okay.
awesome.
Thank you.
Wow, that was cool. So, to keep going about this topic, we're going to talk about the next power. So, we just talked about reward power, which is basically based on if I give you something, you'll do something for me. The next one is expert power, based on that because I know something about that topic more, that I have greater knowledge than you. Something like that. It's basically the power of saying that because I know something that you don't know, I'm smarter than you, and therefore I'm the dominant one in this relationship. You're under me now, basically. And that power is misused a lot too, just like reward power. Just like people try to buy friends sometimes, and that doesn't always work out. You could overuse reward power. Same thing could happen with expert power. You have people who think that they're so correct on everything that they'll tell you, over and over, oh, well, I know this, so we should do this. I know it, so we should do it. And again, that's something to look out for in a relationship. Another thing is legitimate power. This power is based on the acceptance of the roles given to the other person, which is basically the right to compliance. We got a caller. Please hold. Hi, caller. You're on with Youth Flying Live.
Hello. I take it that you have extensive information on relationships and one of your own. And I was wondering, what makes you stay with one person for a long time? What makes you just stay?
Okay.
When there's 6 billion people in the world.
Well, for me, what makes me stay with one person, it's seeing the big picture of what we can do together and all the things is feeling the strength between me and that person. Because when we're able to talk, it's like this is someone I can find in about anything and they won't judge me about it. This is someone that I know has my back no matter what. And it gives you a sense of comfort and relaxation and relief. And it makes me feel like, wow, I'm able to breathe with this person and be who I am. And it's kind of like, that end of my day of like, after dealing with so much drama all the time, you come to that final person that you're able to get that realness from. And so that what really makes me stay in a relationship is the fact that the person is, strong in their relationship and that they're real.
In your opinion, do you think that monogamy is more beneficial to people?
Monogamy is very important and very beneficial because we get caught up with a lot of things in our life in which we don't give our full attention to. And so if you have monogamy, you're able to give more attention to that individual person because that is what we need to do more in relationships. Personally, I feel like relationships need to be a little bit more intimate within monogamy to where it's like, it's just me and that one person. We're going to be just us. And because we're just us, is going to make us stronger because we're able to work on us instead of me trying to work on her and then trying to work on another person out here and another person there and another person. It's using up a lot of energy. And not only that, it could be very damaging to the relationships and to the people that you're in the relationships with. Because if they find out about it, they'll move on to another relationship with this hurt in their heart. And now they're untrusting of anybody else because of what you've done.
Okay.
Stuff
I have
like
one
that.
last question.
Okay.
What can a guy do to show a girl that he's truly into her or he loves her? What are 3 things that he can do to show that?
There's a lot of things. Just being genuine and honest with her, being truthful about who you are and the things you've been through. Spending time with her, making sure you let her know that she means a lot to you. And last but not least, I would say putting her before yourself sometimes, being able to be selfless in that relationship, being able to realize that, hey, this person is here for me just as much as I'm here for them. So you know what? It's not about what I want right now. It's about what they want.
Oh, well, thank you. You're a very intuitive individual, and it was nice hearing some perspectives on relationships.
No problem. Thank you for calling in.
Very awesome.
So actually, we're near the end of our show. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. I would have loved to give you a lot more information on this topic, but there is some information I can give you on how to learn more about relationships, and not only that, something for intimate couples called The 5 Love Languages. And it's a book written by Dr. Gary Chapman, and it's called The 5 Love Languages. And it can be purchased at your local bookstore or online. Okay? So thanks again for tuning in to Youthline Live. You have a good day, everybody. Bye.